What's up YouTube? I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own superhero in Photoshop. In this case, we got Saitama from One Punch Man. Alright YouTube, let's not waste any time. So with it being around Halloween, I'm thinking why not show you guys how to make your own type of superhero character slash unrealistic designs. This will help you out along just a lot of what you're trying to do. Not just doing superheroes, just different manipulations, especially with NBA players, right? Because we're doing an NBA player. So the first thing that we need to do is select our subject and try to see if that's going to get us a nice selection. So I went to select subject and it didn't give me that great of a area, so now I'm just going to go to the pen tool, shortcut is P, and I'm gonna just get the areas that I don't want to be there all masked out. So if you guys don't know already, which you should, if you have watched my other tutorials, you right click after you make a selection with the pen tool and then you go subtract from the selection, and if say you wanted to add to the selection, you go to add to selection. So I'm gonna go and mask out this Alex Caruso right here, and then I'll be back. Alright, so now I got my mask of Alex Caruso, and you guys see right on the layer mask icon, if I were to alt click, there it goes right there. Kind of looks like the NBA logo. We might be able to make an NBA logo out of him one day, who knows. But we need to make him bald like Saitama from One Punch Man. So now I got this stock image of this guy right here, so I'm gonna go select subject with him as well, but I'm only gonna need to use the top of his noggin, right? So I'm gonna use my lasso tool, hold down Alt or Command on the Mac, and actually I'm gonna go right to like the eye level, right around here, right? And then I can just kind of just get messy, but we don't need anything like that around there. So there we go, and then I'm gonna hit the layer mask icon. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna go back onto my Alex Caruso and paste this head in there. Alright, so we got the head in there now, and what we're gonna need to do is first I'm gonna make this into a smart object, because I know I'm not gonna use anything cover anything that we don't already have on here, because I'm not gonna need to bring anything back with the white brush. White brush brings stuff back. So let's make it into a smart object. I have a shortcut, but if you don't have a shortcut, you right click and turn it into a smart object. Now I'm gonna place this head and I'm going to size it down to just about where everything is. What you're gonna want to do is drop your opacity down so you can see beneath. Okay, so drop your opacity down so you can see beneath, and then after you can see beneath, right click and you're gonna press warp, and you're gonna just work this a little bit so that everything kind of matches up. You want the head to really just match up with what's going on with Alex beneath. So I'm gonna go do that, and then let's see what we get after, and then I'll tell you guys the next step. Alright, so now I have my head warped onto Alex Caruso's face, and yeah, this looks very terrifying right now. So we're gonna fix it anyways, and it's supposed to be a fun edit anyway, but let's add selective color onto this and clip it to this head. I'm gonna name it bald head. You guys can name whatever you want. Name it bald head, and there we go with selective color. Red and yellow are gonna really be your determining factors of changing skin color, and that's really gonna help you out. So see, like without that, the tones are just really weird and not really matching at all. But I'm working on fixing my tones, right? And as you do this and just take notice of what you're doing, you'll soon enough come to a realization that, all right, now this looks pretty nice. Okay, so then once you're done doing that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and put a black background. So once you match the tones with selective color, or you could use like black and white and turn on multiply or divide, but try to use selective color at first so you don't just start doing too much stuff. Now I'm going to soft brush these harsh lines out. So I'm going to try to get this to blend really good within the skin of Alex Caruso. So I'm gonna soft brush this in, and you guys do the same on whatever you're trying to do for the manipulation. I will have the stock photo so you guys can follow along with this, and I'll be back once I blend everything in. Alright, so I blended in my head, and now we got Caruso starting to look real fierce, guys. Okay, so after we do that, we're gonna and I want to show you guys I use a little bit of exposure, curves, and levels just to try to get all these tones matching together. I mean, in Photoshop you're gonna have to just experiment with a couple of different things. Like, I kept them all in normal layer styles, but you might have to try and experiment with different layers and different adjustments so that you can get everything cohesive and just working all nicely together. And the last thing that I wanted to do on here is also add just kind of add some noise. So I'm gonna add some noise. Alright, so now we got Alex Caruso's head pretty much all set. We're gonna add adjustments later on if we might want to do that, but now we're gonna get the body for Saitama. So I found this picture of Superman, and I'm gonna mask out this Superman, and eventually we're gonna be morphing just this onto his body to make it fit. Alright, so now I have my Superman, or well, in this case it's going to be One Punch Man on here, but I need to get rid of this Superman logo definitely. So I'm going to do that off the bat just using my lasso tool, and then Shift F5 in Content Aware, filling that out. And then I'll just go ahead and either use Clone Stamp tool or your mixer brush to get out the lingering details that are there. Alright, so after you get out the lingering details on my mask, I'm going to add a blur, and I'm just going to add a surface blur so that this looks more like skin-like, I guess you would say. Even though Saitama has more of like a shirt, I think we can get away with it, can't we? So we're gonna go ahead with the surface blur, and I think it's a little bit too much, so I'm gonna drop mine down. To about there, okay? And now the next step that we're gonna have to go through is, let's see, I actually want this to be a little bit lower. I'm very nitpicky. Alright, so now the next step that we're gonna have to do is, once again, we're going to somewhat warp, but in this time we're going to go into liquefy to get this to match to the body. So once you have a good enough warp that you feel comfortable with, then we're going to make sure we have Alex Caruso's the copy of his body there, and we're going to go into liquefy. So I'm just going to name this top portion, and then we're going to go filter, liquefy. Alright, and then show backdrop, make sure that's on. Then we're going to turn on that Alex Caruso layer, and from here use your forward warp tool and get everything matched up with the body that's underneath. So take your time with this, but make sure everything is matched by the end of what you're doing. Okay, so here we go. That is pretty nice guys. I know this arm is just there for right now, but I'm just gonna try and mask it out with the lasso tool real quick, and that should do the job for it. Okay, so now you might say, well, okay, now we have everything masked, but his arm is still really weird. So now I'm going to make a second layer, or just a second mask of just the arm, right? So take your time and make a mask of the arm. You can use lasso tool if you're comfortable with it, but use pen tool if you want to really be secure and sure of what you're doing. Right, pen tool, you can never go wrong with it. But I'm just making a mask around the arm. Okay, and then once I'm done with the mask around the arm, I'm going to put it to the top so it's over Alex, and then I'm going to go on hue and saturation, or actually let's use gradient map. So let's go to channel mixer, monochrome channel mixer, and we'll just leave it on monochrome for right now. All right, we'll leave it on monochrome for right now, and then F5 is my shortcut, but make it into a smart object. And with this one, you're also going to want to use surface blur, because you don't want to have like a whole bunch of detail. You want it to kind of match this texture. So use surface blur once again, and we're going to make this just look, see how that those two just really look similar now. Just match this to the texture of whatever you had before for your top body portion. And once you're done with this, we also have to make sure that we use the colors from Saitama. So I'm going to, this could be a little bit higher yellow. This picture is a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to copy those whatever you want to call those digits and letters for the color. And then I'm going to go back on my channel mixer. I'm going to add a gradient map, clip it to my channel mixer, and from black to white is there, that's fine. Then we're going to go into the middle, go on our gradient map again, and then make a point in the middle with that color that we picked, which is right there. Okay, nice, it's right there. And then with your gradient map, you're gonna have to adjust to what you see as fit for the color. And you want your color to just really, you don't want your suit to be that shiny, but adjust your gradient map until it looks good. And you're gonna do this on here as well. So you're gonna do the same steps. Make it gray with the channel mixer first, and then adjust with the gradient map. Alright, so there we go. Now we have both are matched. Alright, so now we're starting to get more to Saitama. And with time, this will happen. But I'm kind of noticing that he looks a little chunky, so I'm gonna fix that as well. But then on the bottom for the pants, you guys see the pants, we're just gonna kind of follow the same concept, and you can use the Superman picture that we were using before to help you get to that point, just using these legs and even these boots if you want. So follow the same steps, and then we'll bring it back. One thing you guys might want to do that I forgot to mention is use this metallic grid. And with this metallic grid, you're going to go right click on the layer, go to blending options, and then we're going to use our slider. Let's see what looks best. Yeah, we're going to use our slider from the top right and just slide this down to get rid of all the dark parts on it. Okay, and once that has happened, then we're just going to copy this, go back onto our layer. Okay, and we're not gonna make those as big, so we're gonna resize them. All right, resize these, and then we're just gonna place a bunch of them on the top of this to give it a little bit of texture. Right, it doesn't have to be anything too insane. Don't like freak out that you don't have the right textures on there. It's fine, but you want to just have a little bit of texture on your cape or your superhero. This is how you would get it done. Very quickly, very easily. No stress needed. Alright, so with all of these, I'm gonna just clip. I'm just clipping all of these on there, and then I'm seeing this one happened a little bit too far over, so I'm deleting that one out. Let's see, delete that one out, and then this one overlaps a little bit as well, so I'm adding a layer mask and just deleting it out a little bit. Alright, and after that, I'm going to merge them all together, so F5, and then I'm going to put this on overlay. Oh wait, I missed one. Okay, I missed that one. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to merge them all together. Please. There we go. And then I'm going to put them on overlay. There we go. Alright, and then on the places that it overlaps, you can pretty much just kind of use a soft brush. I don't know why I used a hard brush there. Use a soft brush and just blend a little bit of that too much there out. Right, and then you can also put it on lower opacity, so it's on overlay but it's just on a lower opacity. And then you're gonna do the same thing for the arm right there. Okay, so you should have gotten to about here if you're following the steps correctly. And the next thing that I want to do is, since Saitama has this shirt, I actually found a little shirt that he had. Let's see, One Punch Man shirt. Okay, yeah. I actually found the shirt, so we can actually just use this mask and place it on there once we mask this out. Alright, so I made it into a smart object, and now I'm gonna just take it down there and distort it somewhat. Alright, it will get there eventually. So just distort and just start working with it. Might take you a little bit. Always takes me a little bit to distort things perfectly. Alright, now I'm gonna go to warp. Like that. Okay, so that's pretty good, but we want to get it a little bit better, so I'm gonna go on to liquefy and then use, let's see, I'm gonna go on to liquefy, but which one do I want to unhide? So I'm gonna unhide this one. This is just gonna be the top, because now we have our top done, so we can just unhide this. This will be the button, or no, the zipper. We'll call it the zipper. Filter, liquefy, and we're gonna work on the zipper. And so let's go to our top right here. Obviously without the color adjustment because it's only clipped to it. It's not the actual layer. And there we go. Okay. I think that'll look pretty nice. You can see your before and after if you want. And there we go. There's our top right there, or our zipper right there. So that is nice. I'm going to do liquefy one more time and then move this a little bit to the right. Like this. Nice. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is the cape. So for the cape, I have this little, like, I don't know, action figure, but it's fine because we can just literally take this texture, and this texture is really good, and it already has a lot of folds in it. I was going to use a different texture at first. I was going to use this, the white cape, but we might not need to use it. We might be able to get away with just this, but we will see. And right now I'm going to mask out the cape, and then we're going to get back onto our Alex Caruso layer. Okay, so our cape layer fits very, very nicely onto the scene if we're just putting it behind him. I think that looks really, really dope, okay? So the thing that we're gonna have to do is mask this part out separately that's in front of him. So that won't be a big deal, but I'm gonna just do that separately. So we're gonna have to mask that out separately, but I'm just gonna put this behind him and kind of make it a little bit bigger. And then warp it just slightly to something like that. Looks really cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back onto the Alex Caruso layer, or not the Alex Caruso layer, we're going to go back onto the hood layer and mask these out separately to be able to morph them onto Alex Caruso. Alright, so I got my two like front parts that we need to be on here, and you might have to take a little bit of time with this, but I'm probably going to start with distort and then try to just warp them on. Not do too much because they kind of already fit pretty well, but just kind of just make them look nice without messing up that button. I really did too much there. That's fine though. Okay, and something to this degree on this side, and then we're gonna go on this side and do the same type of thing. Just distorting this button a little bit. Maybe I want it to taper off onto his head so we get a little bit more of, I don't know, just a little bit more of an effect, I guess you would say. So something to this degree, right? And then after we're done with that, I'm gonna go in with my brushes and just make a layer mask and erase the parts on his face. Alright, and now we have the Saitama belt that we need to get right here. His very cool, highly detailed belt AC. But let's find where I put that. Right here. I put the belt right here. So I'm going to mask out the belt real quick, and then we're going to place it on over on Alex Caruso on our other dock. Alright, once you got your belt all masked out from the picture, I actually used a different picture, and I used this picture to do it instead because the other one had like detail that I didn't really see that Saitama really has. So I was like, let me find a different picture. But you're gonna just follow the same concept that you followed for the other one, and with this picture just put it on warp, and you're gonna just warp it to the body just like before. So once you're done with that, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so at this point we're almost on to the last step. So what we really just need now is the gloves that are on Saitama, and we also just need the boots. So for the gloves, I'm using right here. So I'm going to use these gloves. I'm not sure which one I like more at this point, so I'm just going to mask them both out and put them onto the mask or the layer, whatever you want to call it. So put it onto the composition. Then I'm just going to see which one's going to fit more for that hand. I know I'm going to have to use a different glove for the other one, but I'm just trying to see first which one to use for the first hand. And I think I'm going to like this one more. So I'm going to go with this black glove, and we're going to follow the same steps that we did to change the color of the body of Superman when we used our gradient maps. So guys, go ahead and do that, and then we're going to move on to literally the last step before we just start really cleaning everything up, which will be the belt. Alright guys, and finally we just have to do the boots. So I'm going to take these Superman boots and I'm going to mask them out and put them onto here. And the only thing that we have to change for these is see how the top of Saitama's boots are not cut in like his. So I'm just going to probably use Content Aware Fill to fix that, but we'll see once we get to that part. So I'm just going to mask these out and then get to back to the original Alex Caruso picture. Alright, so for these parts right here, I'm just going to mask this out. I'm going to be kind of precise for the top portion. So I'm just going to mask them out. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other shoe, so I'm only going to show one of the boots, shoe, whatever you'd like to call it. So just mask out that selection right there. And I'm going to just delete it. But then we need to fill it in over this way. So I'm going to use my polygonal lasso tool and subtract, and then I'm going to see how good of a job that Content Aware Fill gives us, and not too bad at all. The only thing I have to do from here is use my mixer brush and blend in some of that color, right? And we can fine tone it and fine tune things, but that's pretty much how you're gonna just get the full boot, not looking like completely like Superman's boot. Okay guys, and now look, it looks like pretty much no difference between Alex Caruso and One Punch Man. Am I right? I mean, am I right? And so now from here, what we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to fix around a couple of things because my background is really weird. So on the background layer, I'm gonna get rid of Saitama. So on the background layer, I'm going to use Content Aware Fill for a large portion of it, right? And then also on the subject, you're going to need to add your necessary mask and your necessary shades and highlights and things of that nature to make this all look cohesive and just looking really cool. So I'm going to leave that part up to you guys because I feel as though if you guys are stuck on that, there's definitely tutorials that I have, or I'll link other tutorials to help you out with shading and things like that. But with that being said, I hope you guys definitely enjoyed this tutorial because this is literally how you're going to make your own superhero in Photoshop. You can take these concepts and apply them in so many different areas of Photoshop and different aspects of Photoshop that you want to use. We used a lot of different things today, and yeah, I hope you guys learned a lot. So let me know down below if this tutorial was really helpful. I'm going to play the rest of what I'm doing on the screen so that you guys can just see my process of what I'm thinking about, because still at this point I'm thinking about what I want to do, but I'm gonna play that out and see how I get this done. So if you guys want to watch that, stay tuned. But with that being said, everybody stay scoped. It's been Calso Scoped, and I'm out, y'all. Peace.
Okay.